Now, black people were able to go shopping in the department stores on the east side of town, but they were not allowed to try on clothes in the dressing room. Oh, they could not sit or eat at the 5 or 10 cent store, lunch counters, or the restaurants. They could go to the movies, but they had to sit in the balcony. I had family in New York City, where my mother took me to shop and go to the theater, Empire State Building, the Roxy, and ice skating. I went there on many weekends and holidays. We were able to sit and visit and do all those things wherever and whenever we wanted. There were also some other black families that went from the West Side to New York City on weekends. Now, in the summertime, black people were able to go to the beach, but they went to a separate section on the beach. This section was by a pipe that took the garbage out into the ocean. It was unsanitary, and many black people did not go to the Asbury Park Beach at that time. My friend May's mother, she had a car, and we were able to drive down to Belmar Beach. It was open to all. We also weren't able to go on the rides at the amusement park at Asbury Park. So the churches took us to Keansburg, New Jersey, where we could ride on the steeplechase and the other rides. Now, I remember a wonderful trip I had one summer when I was 7 years old. I visited a beautiful beach in Virginia. This was my first trip to the South, and I went all by myself. My mother had to work, so she sent me to my aunt's, Mary's, in Virginia. Also my friends, they were going up to summer camp. So my mother put me on a train in Asbury Park, and I had a ticket and a sign around my neck. And it had my name on it, where I was going, and my aunt's name. And the conductor was in charge of me. I changed trains in Trenton. Got on a train to Baltimore. And the conductor on that train, Trenton, handed me over to the Baltimore conductor. And he was in charge of me. When I got to Baltimore, the train conductor put me on a ferry to Hampton Roads, Virginia. And the ferry captain was then in charge of me. And he told me, sit in the front of the ferry and don't move from your seat. Well, as black people were getting on the ferry, they passed by me and they said, Chow, come on over here. You got to come into the back. But I stayed in my seat, like the captain told me to do. But when the ferry arrived at Hampton Roads, I saw Aunt Mary on the dock. Boy, was I glad to see her. And she was glad to see me, too. We stayed in a beautiful cottage on the beach, on the colored beach at Bayshore, which is a part of Buckrow Beach in Virginia. That was the only time that I really enjoyed separate but equal. Yes, as I said, there were some happy times and celebrations in Asbury Park. I remember the holidays and parties with family and friends on Sylvan Avenue. Sylvan Avenue was a street on the west side where many black people had lovely homes. Some were doctors and lawyers and business people in the community. My church was there, St. Augustine. It had a bell that was rung for special occasions. The acolytes, one of them was Maurice Henry, and I remember he rung that bell. You could hear that bell ring all over Asbury Park for miles. Well, the city had an improvement program of some sort, for housing, apartment housing. The city tore all the houses down and the church. They eliminated the street to make way for a program of better housing. I have friends who are in their late 80s and 90s like I am, and they do not remember Asbury Park as a friendly place, but they do remember the perseverance of members of their community who spoke out for equal rights for all. In closing, I'd like to read to you from my mother's community project that she wrote about the history of Asbury Park for her project in college. And I think when I read this, you just sit back and you look around at Asbury Park and you see all the things that are there and are happening and not happening, and see if you can see the reflection from then and now. So, this is a reflection of the times, what the country is experiencing. Prosperity or depression can be readily seen clearly in a seashore resort. Pertinent to this, during the country's most prosperous years, right after World War, in 1922, Asbury doubled her construction of new buildings and reached the $1 million mark for the first time. Now, hardly any construction of public buildings, roads, or much needed sewage on the west side is underway, except WPA and some private construction. This is due to the city's tremendous debt. It seems to me that she, Asbury Park, needs some other outlet besides a dependence on her summer trade to give her economic security. As it is, the city has had a meteoric rise in her 50-some years of existence. But whether she continues to go forward remains to be seen. Thank you very much.